at the Senate. Last week, we heard the first week of session, we heard my bill that I'm carrying for immediate emergency rental assistance. I'm asking for $75 million because I know that the need is so great. Rent is due, this weekend. And the unfortunate part about the legislature is that it moves slowly, even when we're trying to move fast. My hope is to get that bill heard on either Tuesday or Wednesday in taxes, the next committee it needs to go to, and then the following day in finance, and then we can send it to the floor. I know that that's not fast enough for the needs in our community. And we are looking at all of the different ways, all of the potential already appropriated money in different programs that might be able to be shifted or have, additional uses for that money, trying to find any way to move the levers in order to get rental assistance out to our communities as soon as possible. We are also continuing to move the bills to allow for a longer period, a 30-day. We're discussing an amendment of 60 days of pre-eviction notice to give people time to get that aid, especially because we know the legislature moves slow. And to also allow people more time after they have been evicted to find another place to live. Right now, they only have up to 7 days, and we want to extend that to make sure people have more time. If you want to help, continue to push for this aid, the best thing you can do is to reach out to the Senate Tax Committee members. If you just go to the senate.mn website, you can look up the committees. The tax committee members need to hear that this is a priority. Your own legislators need to hear that this is a priority, and keep telling your stories. There's nothing that is more powerful at the legislature than the stories of our communities, of what we see happening, of what we know is happening. That is the best way to move legislators and get them to act. Thank you again for all the work you're doing in community. You really are the ones who are holding us together at this point. And now it's time for the legislature to step up, and, we're trying to do just that.
Thank you so much, Senator Port. Couldn't agree with you more. Appreciate all of the work that you're carrying right now at the Senate. Next, we'll go to Representative Agbaje from the Minnesota State House.
Thank you so much, Council Member. It's good to be with all of you again. As Senator Port stated, we know that ICE has not left our communities. And so we just want to say again, thank you so much to all the work everyone is doing. We know it's hard. We know it's difficult. It's still hard to know that our neighbors are still being taken from us without any sense of recourse. But we do know that in the midst of this, our neighbors have been stepping up, and we appreciate that. As Senator Port said, we are still finding ways in the legislature to continue to help you all now that we are back in session. Senator Port talked a lot about the recovery around residents, particularly to help people stay in their homes. We also have bills that we're trying to move forward to also help our small businesses to make sure that they can still stay in business, particularly those that were either directly or indirectly impacted by the heavier effects of the metro surge throughout December and January. Some of the other bills that you've probably seen or heard moving through both the House and the Senate is one for a private right of action against ICE agents when they violate your constitutional rights, so that this would allow individuals to be able to sue a federal agent for to get some recourse and redressability for those violations. We also have bills moving that say that agents, when they're doing their jobs, must be unmasked. They cannot be wearing masks. We need to know who they are. Again, similar situation. If they're doing something wrong, we need to be able to hold them accountable. Similarly, ICE agents or federal agents need to be using marked vehicles, particularly when they're transporting people. Again, for safety issues, we need to know who they are. We also have some bills that will be moving that will focus on ensuring that ICE cannot enter sensitive spaces. So these would be spaces like schools, daycares, hospitals. We want to make sure that those spaces remain safe and sensitive for our students, for our healthcare workers, for our teachers, for parents, particularly because those are places that we know ICE should not be. And we've seen the devastating impacts over the past couple of months when they have breached those spaces. Finally, we're also working on a bill that to ensure that whenever there is an investigation that has to take place because of the actions of federal agents, that they must work with our Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. So those are the types of things that you will see moving through both the House and the Senate. It's much harder in the House because of our political makeup. We're tied at 50-50. But as Senator Port said, please reach out no matter where you are, where you have friends across the state of Minnesota. They need to hear from you. They need to hear your stories. And additionally, mutual aid is still happening. I know many of us are supporting those efforts individually. I know at least in my community, there'll be a big meeting next week to kind of help people with those resources. So be on the lookout for all of us that are promoting those events. So you can find out if you haven't plugged in yet, where you can plug in, or if you have, just ways to continue to connect with members in your community. But again, thank you all so much for what you're doing. Please hang in there. Please take care of yourself. We know this is hard, but we're in it for the long haul, and we know that in the end, we will win.
Thank you so much, Representative Agbaje, for coming on. So I will give an update from here at the City of Minneapolis and the work that we've been doing on the Minneapolis City Council. First and foremost, I just want to echo the fact that even though that there was a lot of media saying that Operation Metro Surge is ending, our community is still feeling the impact of this surge. Even though national media has left our community, we are still here every single day. Our neighbors are still doing rapid response. They're still doing mutual aid. They're still doing school patrol because there's still a present and urgent danger that community members feel. This morning, there were several community members across the metro that were arrested in relationship to the city's church protests. There is going to be a courthouse hearing in St. Paul Federal Courthouse at 1:30. A constituent of mine was taken this morning. Their door was kicked down, and also an independent journalist was also taken. And it just continues to showcase the level of cruelty and brutality, and also just this sense that people's rights continue to be trampled on by these agents is still occurring. And at the Minneapolis City Council, we know that while we're still in this surge, the ACLU reported that there are 970 ICE agents still here from the initial deployment on the ground, that we have to also think about recovery, right? We have experienced so much economic damage, and our community is working on repairing that. We passed out of the Minneapolis City Council unanimously $7 million for a small business resiliency fund. We are asking the state legislature to help us because we know it is just a drop in the bucket. We passed $1 million in rental assistance. We know that that's not enough. And we know that rent is due again on March 1st. And me personally, I have been working to help different community members, and a lot of these community members have finally just been able to make rent for February, or are still trying to make rent for February, and March is coming around, and people are still making choices for their own safety to not leave their home, to no longer be able to work due to this surge. And that feels really, really present in this moment. We also know that there is a call across the state of Minnesota for a rent strike. As a result of this, there hasn't been an eviction moratorium, and people are really getting the sense that people are going to lose their homes and be displaced. And that's why I am joining several council members in co-authoring a piece of legislation here on the council led by Councilmember Wansley called Pause Eviction Save Lives. That is to extend the 30-day pre-eviction notice that we currently have to 60 days through July of 2026. because the 30-day pre-eviction notice has been the one saving grace that we have had for community members to give them extra time to cobble together what money they can, either through mutual aid or maybe some hours worked. And we know that it's not enough. And we know that people are left without an eviction moratorium. And so this is a step that we're taking, and we will take this up on Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday, March 3rd at 9:30 a.m. And community members are welcome to come and give a public testimony. We're going to keep on doing this until we no longer have to do this. We're not going to do this in the cadence of every couple of days. We're going to play it by ear a little bit. Our plan for the next Metro Ice Out report is to do a mid-legislative session update and report. With that, stay safe, stay vigilant. Thank you to all of our community members that continue to show up in this moment.